I'm very glad everyone's here today because we are going to talk about a club and leadership because leadership is where success happens in a club. Let me share my screen. I thought I was doing that. Here we go. Here we go. Everybody can see this? I hope.
Yes.
I can see it.
Excellent.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Yes. And please ask questions and the room monitor will stop me because I'm sure we're going to have them as we go through. And let's talk about what is club success. Some people think it's membership numbers. Some people think it's about your distinguished club points and those numbers. Some people think it's about the number of people in pathways or the levels that they've achieved. I think it's about the value that every member takes out of the club. That to me is success. And if you have one person, just one person in a club who feels that they've gotten something out of it to take into their life, into their job, their home, their family, their community, that, in my opinion, is success. It's not about the membership, it's not about the numbers, it's about helping the members achieve what they want to achieve. That is just the fundamental idea, I think. That's just my opinion, but that's what I think. And I believe that you will find other Toastmasters who agree with me because we don't want to focus so much on numbers. We're all going through training today. You're learning about how to be a vice president of membership, or you're learning how to be a vice president of education, or you're the president of a club, whatever your office is. And you're always talking about the distinguished club program, and you need 10 points to be a distinguished club. You have to have a certain number of members to be a distinguished club. That's important, absolutely. But that's just a metric to show how healthy your club is. The real success is what your members take out of those meetings. And to do that, you need good leadership. Good leadership is where the success starts and grows. Now, why? There we go. What is a club leader? And I want to say something too about this little slideshow I put together. I went on to Google and I looked for different things, and there are thousands and thousands of slides of different Toastmasters meetings. Whoops, there we go. It's just crazy. When you look at it, it's just nuts. So you can get any image you want for a slide deck you're ever doing for Toastmasters. Just go to Google. They're there. That's an amazing thing. But let's talk about leadership and what is a club leader. The first thing as a club leader, you need to be agile. And what that means is you have a club success plan that you do every year with your executive team, but you have to be able to not be afraid to change course. As the pandemic has rolled on, people trying certain things that used to be done the old fashioned way doesn't necessarily work anymore because we're all on Zoom. So we have to be agile as a club leader to make our clubs grow, prosper, and thrive. Absolutely. You need to be a visionary. And what I mean by that is you have to have a vision for your club. Yes, you want to be president's distinguished, but you have to have a vision for where you want the club to be as a unit, as a group. Do you want all the people to get knowledge from pathways and giving speeches? Do you want them to build their confidence up? Do you want them to go out and start new projects and succeed? Is that your vision? Or is it just about the numbers? You have to go beyond the numbers and look at the members and what the vision is for the members of your club specifically. Not every club has the same vision. For instance, there's Chinese, was it Chinese, Irvine Chinese Toastmasters? Those people, their vision is to learn a second language, which in this case is English. So they're a majority of the club members are Chinese. They're using Toastmasters to increase their skills in English speaking. Therefore, that's the vision of that club, and that goes beyond the numbers. That's about the members. It's always about the members. As a club leader, you're agile, you have vision, and then you have to be courageous. And people say, what courageous? What does that mean? It means sometimes you're wrong and you can't be shy about admitting it. And you have to have the courage to do things, to say things, to motivate people, to push them a little bit into the action that's going to help make them be the better person that they need to be. So courage is a big part of it. And as club leaders, I don't know how many here are presidents of a club. If you're the president, you stand in front of the club. If you're in a meeting in person, you're on a podium, you're on the stage there, the lectern's in front of you, and you're standing there talking to the club membership. That takes courage. You're giving a grammarian's report and you're talking about what's happened in a club. And it's not just to say, oh, Tom said that he really liked tulips. I thought that was kind of a funny comment. No, you might want to say something like, Tom said he really liked tulips. And that reminds us that we should look for the beauty in nature. So it takes the courage to go a little bit beyond what might happen in a club meeting and make it your own. Make it your own. Don't just go by the strict rules, but be courageous and make it your own. And as you do that, you're building confidence and you're showing other club members that they can be courageous too, and then they start growing. Again, it's about the members. And by doing this, you're leading by example. You're showing people how it's done. And I want to ask this question, and I'm going to stop for a minute. And maybe Diane can help me with this. With maybe someone will have some comments. I want to know how many people in this call have completed an entire path. Can anybody tell me how many people have completed an entire path? Has anybody in this call completed an entire path?
Yes, I have. Kathy,
Kathy, how many? One path?
just one. I finished one path. I'm working on my second one, and I've got a third one selected already.
Okay. And has anybody else finished a path? No one else?
Doesn't look like it.
All right, I'm also going to give you all a very helpful hint right now too. If you renewed before December 31st of last year, you're entitled to a free path, but you have to take that, you have to sign up for that path by March 31st. So
Oh,
if you've
really?
done it and you haven't done that yet, if you renewed by the 31st of December, you have until March 31st to sign up for a free path.
Hey,
That's good to
Ken.
know.
What?
Ken, Tanya is very good about reminding us every meeting.
Okay, good. That's good. My goal for everybody today, lead by example. Finish an entire path and then go to the next one. Or do 2 or 3 at a time. Last year, I told somebody I was going to do 2 paths simultaneously and finish both of them in 6 months. I didn't quite make it. It took me 6.5 months to do 2 paths. It's not hard. It's not hard. And I think that everybody can do it. So you can lead by example. And by doing that, for the people who are in the club who've been in the club for a long time, and they have not embraced pathways, you're showing them it's pretty easy. And for those people who are new to pathways, you're showing them that there is a way to move and progress. So either way, as club leaders who are here today, take the lead, complete a path. You'll do it well. As club leaders, you also need to focus on the priorities. And when I say by focused, I mean not just the numbers, but the value of the member experience. And I'm of the idea that you're looking more about how the member perceives the meeting and what they're getting out of it. Are they learning how to be a better speaker? Yes. Are they learning how to be a better leader by taking on a club role? Yes. Are they learning how to be more courageous because they're getting up and talking? Yes. Are they learning how to be better outside of their world? We hope so. Are they being a better listener? You have to ask that question too. I always wonder about that. And it's funny because I was watching the news last night and there were people being interviewed and every other word was and or it was driving me crazy. I watched the Senate hearings and not the Senate hearings, I'm sorry, the congressional hearing before the second impeachment of Trump. And all of those Congress people all need to go to Toastmasters. I think if you want to be a hero and have real club success, we need to go to Washington and sign those people up to be Toastmasters so they can speak more eloquently. That would be something to help everybody, I suspect. It's not a matter of what they said, it's about how they said it, and they didn't say it very well. That was shocking to me. You need confidence. You need the confidence to lead and engage members. Engaging members, you're asking them, how are you doing? How are you perceiving things that are happening? How are you going about achieving your goal? A lot of people in clubs and club leadership and in the executive team of a club, they don't ask the questions of the members that much. They don't really ask the members how they're doing. And that's something that's very important. That goes back to mentoring, which we're going to talk about a little later. But we need to be asking the members how they're doing, what they're getting out of it, what they expect to get out of the meeting, and help them achieve those goals. That's how club success happens. It's helping those members succeed. Absolutely. You need to be energetic. I cannot tell you how many times I've visited a club and the club president and the Toastmaster of that meeting are sort of down and welcome to Toastmasters, today's meeting. No. You've got to be energetic. Welcome to Toastmasters. Today's meeting is going to be the most fabulous hour and a half you're ever going to spend in your lifetime. Be energetic. Help enthusiasm happen. I've done a lot of Sergeant at Arms training, and I always tell the Sergeant at Arms to make up a crazy story about the president of the club before you introduce them at the beginning of the meeting. Something such as, say, we'll take Tanya Mansell, whose photo I'm looking at right now. Today, we're going to introduce our president, Tanya Mansell. She just completed a 10-year journey around the world in a 14-foot boat. Yes, let's give it up for her. Yay. Something totally nuts, but it puts people at ease. It makes them laugh a little bit, hopefully, and really builds the energy up in a room. And I think that when you do that, you're going to have the greatest energetic meeting ever. The more energy in the meeting, the happier the members are, and the more they're going to get out of it. So take every opportunity to be energetic. And you're upbeat, you're enthusiastic, you're positive. That makes it really, really helpful. You have to be willing to listen to what the members want. You have to be willing to ask them about their club experience. I said that before, but I can't emphasize that enough because we don't really do it. I'm guilty as a club president for not doing that for my clubs, I should say, that I'm a member of. I need to do that more. I'm not asking the people what they're experiencing and how they're perceiving things. And we need to do more of that. And that will help put them at ease and make them feel that they're part of it. Because we're all in it together. There's no one person who's really above it all. We're all in it together. We're all unpaid. We're all trying to learn something from each other. And from each other, we learn. And that is a big component of the Toastmasters experience. Take into consideration the different perspectives that club members have. And what I mean by that is, when you look at the totalitarian, how do I say this exactly? The total experience of a club meeting or how they're perceiving a speaker, somebody may give the greatest speech ever, and the evaluator may hate it because they're having a really bad day because they had a car accident earlier that day. You have to really take things into consideration that not everything you hear and see is really the way it is. And this perception of how people see things really makes a difference in the perception of the mood of the club itself and feedback that you get, not just in evaluations, but in giving a speech. Somebody may give a really bad speech, again, because they've had a bad day, or maybe they just got a raise and they're going to be so enthusiastic and so energetic that they go to their club meeting and they're going to be bouncing off the walls. you never know what's going to happen, but you have to take into consideration that everything you see is not necessarily the way it really is. So you have to be cognizant of the fact that people have different points of view. They don't always come out of it the way you would think. Now, as leaders and club leaders, you're all part of what's known as an executive team. There's 7 of you, sometimes there's 8 if there's a past club president that's involved. And that executive team helps chart the course for the club. You're, of course, looking at who's going to complete their paths for their DCP points, who's going to helm a club project or two, an open house or getting a guest speaker, whatever you're going to do. These are the things that you do in your executive meetings. You talk about different club functions, club finances, and a lot of clubs lately have not been having executive meetings. I think that the executive meeting is important. You really need to discuss what's going on in the club and with the members. And there's something else that happens when you do that. When you start talking about the different aspects of the club in an executive meeting, when you're in that small group without all the members there, you really tend to get things done and decisions are easily made. Now, most executive meetings, you don't go and exclude members from joining you. That's not the way to do it. You know, members should always be able to join an executive group meeting, but it is good to have those discussions about that. If you have issues with some members, or if you have people who are not getting a full experience out of the Toastmasters meeting, that's where the executive meeting really comes into play. And that helps drive your club towards success, again, towards helping the members achieve what they want. Give your executive team the freedom to get things done. Meaning, if you're the club president or vice president of education and you're leading the club, and that's this comment's for you specifically, these people who are on this call, let all the other executive team members and the club members do their thing with freedom. Oversee what they're doing, but don't micromanage them. Give them the opportunity to do what they need to do to get their things done. Their open house, if they're doing that, or a special meeting. Maybe you're going to do an all table topics meeting and somebody has to set that up. That's a great thing to have happen. Absolutely. In training. Today, a lot of you have been going through training for your various club roles. I applaud all of you. Thank you. But training is important, and not just for you as club officers, but you need to take training back into your club to help train people on pathways, train people on how to give a good speech, a good evaluation. Training is important because not everybody knows everything. We'd like to think we do, but we don't. And I, for one, am learning things every day about Toastmasters. And I forget, I think it was Helen Blanchard, who was the first female president of Toastmasters, who said, if you get everything out of Toastmasters that you want, you'll never get out of Toastmasters. So there's so much to learn all the time. And with 94 years of this organization being around, there's so much there. Absolutely. Now, how do we help our members really succeed? Does anybody know the answer to that? Randy McNeil, you look like you have the answer. Unmute yourself for a second.
Well, you want to be there for them. You want to encourage them all the time and know that they can come to you with any questions. And for my members, I kind of plug in with each. I'm the president and the VPE. So I plug in with each of them individually through email and just see how they're doing. And they feel connected that way.
Absolutely. Feeling connected is a great thing. You're absolutely 100% correct. And to check in with them, like I said, find out how their experience is. But there's one other thing that we need to do, and we don't do enough of, and that's recognition. And I don't mean best speaker of the meeting or best table topics. I'm talking about recognizing them for achieving something, completing a level and pathways. We don't recognize that very often. Maybe outside the club, they're a lawyer and they just passed the bar exam. That should be recognized in the club too.
Mm-hmm.
Those sort of things. Recognition is a great tool to help club members feel involved, valued, and respected within the club. And we're not doing enough of that. But yes, we have to connect with them and we need to recognize them for the value that they bring and for the things they do. And the value of their membership is unbounded by that recognition. The more recognition you give your club members for the things they do well, the more they're going to feel their membership is valued. There's a direct correlation. Absolutely, there is. The other thing we need to do as leaders, we need to allow people to fail. And you're saying, what? Fail? Everybody's heard that phrase, failure's not an option. You've heard that phrase? Well, I'm sorry, but failure is an option in Toastmasters. When club members fail, they have an opportunity to learn. They have an opportunity to learn from their failures, from their mistakes, and that's how they grow. I know that I have fallen flat on my face many times. My very second speech I ever gave in Toastmasters, I totally lost it. After about a minute, I had to sit down. I couldn't do it. I totally failed. I lost it. And that happens. So we cannot be afraid to let people fail to learn. Failure equals learning. If they're failing in other ways, that's something different. But if they're failing in speeches, if they're failing in getting things done 100%, it means that they're learning how to do things. We all need to get new skill sets as we go through the Toastmasters experience. It's so true. Yeah, why can I not do that? One of the things that vexes most of the clubs is membership building. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time on this one topic specifically because a lot of clubs think their success is measured in membership. That's hard to say. Measured in membership. The reason I want to spend time is it is important because membership drives your distinguished club goals. And if you're distinguished or better as a club, you have to have certain membership numbers. That's the Toastmaster way. But membership goes well beyond that. What happens with membership in a club is that new members bring new energy, stories, and vitality to a club, and hopefully potential new leaders to a club as well. Absolutely. And people have asked many times, how do we get new members? How do we do it? The number one way to do it is to ask. Every club member should ask at least 5 people a week to join and come to their meeting. At least 5 people a week. If you have 20 members in a club, you've asked 5 people, that's 100 people. And if you get 3 or 4, you're doing well. But if you do that every week, you will slowly build your membership because people will be coming in and asking to be a part of the club experience. Absolutely. So that's the number one thing. You have to ask people to join, to not join. You invite them to a club meeting. Now, there are other ways to do it. You can market it in Facebook. You can market it via Twitter. The best one I found lately for everybody has been Meetup, meetup.com. Every club, I think, should have a Meetup account. And it's important if you have a Meetup account, I'm going to put this out there, that all the club members sign up every week to go to the meeting or every month, whatever your club frequency is. So that when Meetup posts it and they see these people are coming, that you're a very active Meetup group, more people are going to join. If you have a Meetup and only 3 people have signed up for it, it gets shunted to the bottom of the pile. People don't see it and they don't think you're an active group and they don't come. It's really a perception game. The perception of being active versus not active, even though your club is active, people don't know that if they just see a small number in Meetup and not a high number. That's one of the ways to do it too. So, and you can advertise on LinkedIn, but I'm also going to say that clubs who are successful do other things. They post flyers in various places. If you're a corporate club and you have a lunchroom, put a flyer up about your club meeting and put a flyer up with your club newsletter in that lunchroom so people can see what the members are doing. And that might entice more people from the corporation to come in. If you're a community club, you can put flyers in Starbucks and other places where people still are able to go to get coffee or whatever it is they're going to do, or a grocery store. Normally, you'd be able to put flyers up in other places. One of the places interestingly enough, that that are still open and is a good place to put a flyer up, a laundromat, a local laundromat close to where your club meets. Think about that. People still need to have those kind of services, and it is out there. COVID hasn't shut that down. One of the other things to do about getting members in your club is to look to the past, to data mine your past members. People don't do that very much, but you can look at the list of your past members and reach out to them via phone calls, emails, word of mouth. Some people use carrier pigeons. That's what they do in San Clemente Toastmasters. It's very crazy down there. But it's just a matter sometimes of asking those past members, we would like you to rejoin. We really miss you. We really want you to come back. We want you to be a part of the group. We miss your stories, your energy, your vitality, your enthusiasm. Just asking people often means that they'll become a member again. Sometimes they have reasons they can't come back, work conflict, family conflict. Those things happen. But if you look at your past members, there are a few people there who you could probably bring back into your club if you just ask. And we talked a little bit earlier about pathways and being a leader and showing people that it's easy to do. In the past, a lot of clubs lost members because of pathways. They were afraid of doing something new. Now, pathways is almost 4 years old now, and it's not that new anymore. It's a tried and true method. It does work. Tell people, yes, it works. You really do get something out of pathways. There's a lot of content in pathways. There's a lot of things to do in each and every path and level. When you click on it, there's so much information, more than in the old manuals, the old legacy manuals, which had, sure, the projects and everything else in it, but it didn't have all of the major parts of learning that you get out of the pathways experience. Tell them there's a lot there for them to learn, and it's not that hard. And honestly, it goes a little faster in pathways than it does with the old manuals, getting through a path or level or completing an entire path. When you complete a path, it's similar to getting a competent communicator ribbon at the end when you finish those 10 speeches. Well, in pathways, when you do it, it's almost 20 speeches when you're all said and done. So that's almost 2 competent communicator manuals, or that plus all the advanced manuals. It's really quite amazing when you think about it. And you can do it so much quicker than you could with the old manuals. It's really good. In getting members, everybody thinks that the vice president of membership is in charge of this. That's 100% incorrect. Every club member is in charge of getting new members, helping members come to a club, inviting them. It's not up to the vice president of membership to be the one to bring everybody in. Granted, the vice president of public relations, the vice president of membership, and other club officers work towards setting up programs to help drive membership, but it is the responsibility of every club member to invite people, like I said, at least 5 a week to come to your meeting. That's a really important part. And you have to be very upbeat and enthusiastic about that as well. We talked about being upbeat and enthusiastic. Well, yes, that's true, but you have to do it again when you invite members and really sell the fact that you're going to get something of value out of a Toastmasters meeting, because you really do. You really do get a lot of value. In my introduction, it was said that I learned how to be a better manager because of Toastmasters. That's absolutely 100% correct. I learned that because I was not a very good active listener until I got into Toastmasters, and I had to be a grammarian or an awe counter or an evaluator. And you really have to learn how to listen. And being an active listener means you can communicate better because you're listening and understanding what other people are saying, and you're not just talking about what you want to talk about and not really listening to what the other person has to say or their opinion. That's a very important part. Invite guests. And when you invite guests at your meeting, I always say be prepared. Have a digital guest packet, have a membership form, put in the chat right now in Zoom. When you go to your regular club meeting, have a guest packet or membership forms ready. I've been to so many club meetings where they have 10 visitors and no membership forms. Crazy. How do you expect to grow your membership if you don't have that? And again, you have to ask the members to join. You invite them to join. You say, I'd like to invite you to join this meeting. I think you'd really get something out of it. How do you feel about that? Do you think you'd like to be a part of the group? Would you like to be invited to be a part of the group? An invitation to join is very powerful. Not when you say you ask them to, hey, do you want to join the meeting? No, I would like to invite you to be a member. That's a very powerful statement and gives a personal touch to helping build club membership. Definitely. And then when you talk to new members, and as we said with the old members, you need to ask them what they want to get out of the meeting. What do they need from Toastmasters? What is their goal, their desire, their plan of action that they really want to get out of it? And doing this helps make a club successful because you're helping people succeed. Again, it's not about the numbers. It's about the people getting the best experience possible. So what is the value you're going to offer to your members? It's going to be confidence, leadership building, being able to give a good recital at a speech that they have to give to the PTA, doing a great eulogy at a funeral, a toast at a wedding. These are the things that people do when they join Toastmasters. They go there to get something out of it. Not everybody joins Toastmasters to become a distinguished Toastmaster. It's my understanding that only between 1% and 2% of all Toastmasters become distinguished Toastmasters. That is, they go through and complete all the steps in leadership and in their club to be a distinguished Toastmaster. Not many people do that. They only go to get the skills they need to get the job done that they need to get done in their real life. And that's not a bad thing. So as club members and club leaders, we need to help them get those skills. And hopefully they're having fun, they're making friends, and want to stay in the club for even longer than their planned objective, whatever that objective is. Certainly. Leadership in a club is very important. Leadership means that you're out there in front and you're helping people do things. And as leaders, you have an advantage as a club leader because you get to speak a little bit more than the average member, and that helps you build your confidence level up as well. I've always said this, leaders make better speakers, and that for me is definitely the case. When I became a club officer, I got to speak a little bit more. I got to stand up in front of the club a little bit more and talk, and soon I became more relaxed and able to talk and speak in front of a group. That's what it's all about. Absolutely. Club member participation. This is where the meat of this whole seminar is right here. Club members need to participate to feel valued and to gain success and confidence. We value our members above all else in a club. It's about valuing the members and what they do and giving them the encouragement to do it. Giving them encouragement to do their icebreaker, their first speech, their 9th speech, whatever it is that they need to do. Giving them the encouragement to go forth and conquer. I like that phrase because they're conquering their own fears as they go and speak in front of a group. Absolutely. So make sure every member is valued and encouraged. And don't be, and some people have this issue in their clubs. They don't have members who want to speak at their club. Don't be afraid to speak at a club meeting and encourage the members to speak at a club meeting. We're all there. Some clubs, I'm in a club called Coastmasters. That's a dogfight typically to get a speaking slot. And there is another club that I belong to called Dana Harbor Toastmasters that I can go in and do a speech every week because we don't have people who are willing to speak. We need to know that we can go and give a speech when we want, and we want to encourage members to give speeches as well. And as a club leader, it helps to look at the members who haven't given a speech in a long time and encourage them to step up. In San Clemente Toastmasters, one of my groups, I encouraged last week 2 of our members who haven't given a speech in 4 months to give speeches this coming week, and they're going to do it. And one of them just texted me before this whole thing started. I'm all excited about my speech. I'm so glad you made me do this. I'm so excited to talk. And I can't wait to hear the speech. It's going to be phenomenal. I have a feeling. I don't know what it's about, but it's going to be great. The idea is we want to encourage the members to get up and speak. And some people have members and club members who don't want to speak. We need to just get them to do it. Encourage them. Sometimes you can guilt them into it as well. Hey, Bob, you haven't spoken in a long time. Why don't you give a speech next week? It helps. It really helps. And then it shows you're paying attention to them as well, and you're valuing them as a member, and you want them to contribute. Because we want to make sure that every member has a chance to speak in a meeting, be it a speech, a table topics, and a club role for the week, or some other method or methodology. Sometimes, if you have a large group, you can't have everybody speak in a meeting, but it's sometimes good to go around a room at the very end of a meeting where you have the guests there and say, guests, how did you feel about this meeting? For those members who didn't get a chance to speak, ask them that question at the end of a meeting and give them 15 seconds to talk about it. At least they feel that they're participating. And then hopefully in the next week, they'll be one of the featured speakers or presenters or whatever it is that the club needs, and then they'll feel value. You want to check on each member and note their accomplishments. We talked about a little bit about recognition, but we need to keep checking on them. And here's something that happens. Oftentimes, members who are not there for 2 weeks in a row, we need to reach out to those people and find out what's going on with them. We need to find out why they haven't been in a meeting and why they're not there, why they have an issue. Maybe there's something going on in their life that the club can help with, or maybe they just don't feel loved by the club. I'm not sure. But we need to reach out to those people. After 2 weeks, somebody's not there and it's not a planned absence. For instance, if you know you're going to go on vacation for 3 weeks, you're not going to be in a meeting, you say, hey, Mr. Club Vice President, take me off the schedule. I'm not going to be there for 3 weeks. But if they haven't been there for 2 weeks and you don't know why, it's a good idea to call and reach out as club leaders to find out how that member is doing, to make them feel valued and wanted, and to make sure that they're getting what they want out of the meeting. It's about that member value that we bring to the members in Toastmasters. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to do that. Mentoring. Mentoring is the other key to making sure the members are involved. Every club member should have a mentor. I don't care if you've been in the club for 10 years or 2 months. You all need a member. Everybody needs a mentor. It's very important to be able to have somebody to bounce ideas off of, to check in on you, like we were just talking about, to make sure that you're on the path that you want to be on. If it's to get to the DTM or to make that speech at your daughter's wedding, the goal, whatever that goal is, you still need a mentor to help you get there, to help you navigate through the path that you need. I guess that would be the phrase I want to use here. The path that you need. It's interesting because when you join Toastmasters, there's a lot of acronyms and things that go on and words and phrases. We don't know what that all means. And the mentor helps you decipher how the club goes, how the club meeting is, how things are run, things are dealt with. The mentor is a key component to making sure that the club members are successful. If you don't have a mentor, go to your vice president of education and complain. Take next week, complain to every one of them and say, I need a mentor. Absolutely. And even division leaders such as myself, we're supposed to have mentors as well to help us in our leadership role. So it's amazing that there's always somebody there to help you. No matter what, there's always somebody there to help you. That's a very important part of being a club leader and helping the club be successful. So let's take a moment and talk about good club practices. First of all, you want to be on time. I know with Zoom, we're all kind of lackadaisical. All the meetings will start at 7. I'll get there at 6:59. it's good to get there a little bit before that, especially if you're going to do a presentation like what I'm doing here with the slides, so that you make sure that your technology works. That's an important part. Now, I have a photo here of a gentleman voting, and it's a good practice to make sure that everybody votes, everybody has an equal say in who wins as best table topics, or if you're having club elections for officers, or whatever else you need to do to have a vote. Voting is always a good thing. Make sure you do it, but it just shows that the activity of doing something like that is a value that you bring to your members and puts everybody on an equal footing. So that's a good club practice. Agendas. A lot of people, since we're meeting online, they're not doing agendas like they used to. You'd go into a meeting room, you'd have your U shape, and everybody would be sitting there, and somebody would pass out, the vice president of education or the Toastmaster would hand out a printed agenda to everybody to make sure we're all on the same page, we all know what's going on. We're not doing a lot of that online. We need to still have agendas so that everybody still is on the same page. And I want to bring up this other practice about helping club members succeed. If, when we go back to meeting in person, a practice that used to happen and has sort of fallen by the wayside is when a visitor comes to a club, it's always good to seat them next to a seasoned club member who can help them in that first meeting. So keep that in mind. And if you're online and that happens, it doesn't hurt to chat a new member or visitor and let them kind of know what's going on during a club meeting, the same theory, so that they are aware of how things are running and operating. You need to be an active listener. To be a good club practice, you need to be an active listener. I've said before that active listening is important, not just to do a grammarian or an odd counter or an evaluation, but to truly understand what people are saying. Understand that as an active listener, you're valuing the time that the person who's speaking is giving you, and you're understanding what they're trying to say and their point of view. Active listening, absolutely not talking during the speeches. That's something that happens, definitely. We want to set our members up for success. And how do we do that? Well, if you're the Toastmaster of the meeting, you want to give them a great introduction. I want to thank Diane today for giving me that wonderful introduction. I don't even remember if I wrote that or not. I don't think I did. I'm not sure. But it was a great introduction, and it helps set you up for success. It gives the member who's speaking credibility and helps people understand where they're coming from and their perspective and their point of view. The introduction is really important, not just for a speaker, but for a table topics person. You want to do your table topics manager or role player for the meeting, give them a good introduction. Your general evaluator, all these different roles at a club meeting. You want to, as a Toastmaster or a club officer, president of how it's being run in the meeting, you want to give those people a good, quick introduction so people know that they are a valued member of that team for the week and they have something to offer to you. Pathways training. Pathways is the current and future learning mechanism for Toastmasters. We all need to be sure that we're in Pathways, that all the club members are in Pathways, and everybody needs to be trained on Pathways. I know that every week, the Founders District, of which we're all members, has a Pathways clinic that happens every week. And every club has somebody most likely who's done a lot of Pathways and gone through it. I'm just shocked that Kathy was the only one on this call who said, I'm the only one who's completed an entire path. I really had thought at this point, at this link, that there'd be a few more folks that have completed an entire path. But it can be done. It's not that hard. You just have to go for it. But as you do it once, you'll find that the second time is a little easier. The third time is easier. The fifth time, it's a no-brainer. I'm on my 8th path, and yes, it is really easy now for me. But I've done it. So you need to think that, yes, you can go through Pathways and make it happen. And I will be the first to admit that Pathways is not a very well-designed program on the interface part of it, but the information contained in it is just stunningly amazing. So if you can just get over the whole interface thing, which is going to change soon anyway, is my understanding, then you can get all the nuggets of wisdom out of Pathways each and every time. Get trained on Pathways. And if you have questions, I'm happy to help answer Pathways questions at another time, not right at the moment. And be enthusiastic. Be enthusiastic about everything you're doing in the club. Because I said before, the energy level, the higher the energy level in a club meeting, the more successful the club is going to be, period. Because everybody's going to be lifted up by the energy. What's the word? I think a high tide rises all boats. Well, an energetic club rises all members. It's absolutely true, and that's how it works. So be energetic. Definitely be energetic. So let me ask you, what is club success? It's not measured in numbers. No, it's measured in the members' achievements and accomplishments, as I said in the beginning. Club success is taking the skills that you learn in a club meeting and transferring those skills into the real world. How do you run a meeting on time? How do you set up an agenda for a meeting? How do you get somebody to talk about their project or idea successfully in a boardroom so they can make more money and get their project or idea accomplished? That's success. Absolutely. And that's the value that you're offering to your members. That's your point. That's your selling point. When you're getting new members in, when you're looking at your club success, that's what you're selling. The idea to be able to go out in the real world and make sure that you succeed. And you know that you've helped make the member grow. You know that you've done your best to make them achieve their goal. You know that you want to be the one to say, I helped my friend in Toastmasters get a new job, and now they're the executive of this company. They have a corner office with 2 windows, 3 assistants, and they're making $187,000 a year because you, as a club officer, helped push them, encourage them, gave them the courage to do what they need to do to succeed. And if you see the member as a more confident, self-assured person, just one, you know you've succeeded. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you have a successful club and make the magic happen. Thank you.